So welcome to TechnoDadLife, where we build, learn, and create as a community. And on today's episode, we're going to be going over Calibre, which is a book management and also a book finding Docker that we can put on our server. And so basically, this is going to be in really two parts today. And so the first half, we're going to be installing the Docker. In the second half, we're going to be going all over all the different features because there's a lot. So you can actually download books through the Docker, and you can also make a web server available where you can actually have the books available, so any device that connects to the web server. And if you like this video, make sure you like it. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that bell button to be notified of new videos. And here we go now. So let's get started. So first we're going to download Calibre, and so we're going to go to this box right here, type in Calibre, and we're going to scroll down CGS PEC Docker RDP Calibre, and we're going to click info on that. And so for this one, it's a little different how they have it formatted. But basically, we're going to be looking at this information and we're going to add a few extra things. So we're going to go back and we're going to click Start. And that one takes quite a while to download, but once it's done, click Close. Next, we're going to click on Calibre and click Run Image. And so we're just going to call this Calibre. Restart policy always. We're going to leave that in bridge mode. We're going to change a couple things down here. So we're going to go 80 is going to be 8082. And we're going to take 8081 to 8081. And so basically these two things are to access the web UI and then access the database. So we're going to scroll down. And we're going to go to user ID and group ID. And so my user ID is 1000 and my group ID is 100 already. And so how you find your user ID and group ID is you go to shell in the box, type in ID, your username, and then it will give you your UID and your GID. Hit the check marks. We're going to change the width and height so it takes up more screen space because I have a big monitor. So we're going to change that to 1920 and to 1080, and then we're going to hit the plus sign for each. Next, we're going to type in library internal path. And then we're going to type /library over here, and this will be so the Calibre can find our library on our machine. Then hit the plus sign. Next, we're going to type in time zone. And for me, that's America, New York. You type in whatever time zone you have. Then hit the plus sign. Now we're going to go down to container paths, and we're going to hit / and config. And so now what we're going to do is go to our app data folder and then make a config folder for Calibre, and then also a library for it. So we have Calibre library. So now we're in our app data folder, and so we're going to make a new folder and call this Calibre. And then next we're going to go to our media folder, go into books. And so right now I put all my existing books into a folder called existing. And we're going to make a new folder called Calibre Library. And then you can close that. And so next we're going to go to our shared folder, go to app data and Calibre, click OK, and then hit the plus sign. And next we're going to type library and go back to our shared folders, media, books and Calibre library, click OK, hit the plus sign. Next we're going to hit slash and existing, and then we're going to go back to our shared folders, media, books, and then we're going to click on existing, and then click OK, and then hit the plus sign. Then we're going to hit save, and then we're going to copy our IP address, paste that, and we're going to go 8081, hit enter. And so you can see it does not work because this is the database which we actually have to set up to access it. And then if we hit 8082, actual takes us to Calibre, and so then we just hit OK. And so we already have our library folder set up, so we're going to hit next. So here you would put whatever device that you have that you want your library be converted to. So if you just have a general one, that's what I would do. So if you have, say, like a Kindle, then I would do that. Then hit next. And so for right now, we're not going to set up our email, but you can do it here. And then click finish. Okay, so let's just go over the UI. So basically your books appear here, and if you right click on them, you can see your different choices. You can view them from right here. And so this is the quick start guide. So if we go to the folder one, it's basically a history of the books that you've just looked at. This makes the font bigger or smaller. This gives you the table of contents, which I find is very helpful because then you can just go through to different books. And here you can see when we click the font bigger and smaller, we can see it change there. Back and forward just is page turning. Bookmark is you will bookmark a page. And so we'll just leave it called bookmark 1. We'll change pages. We'll go back to bookmarks. Then we can see bookmark 1 is there, and we can just hit that and we go back. The brush is for highlighting. Tools will be your basic shortcuts to changing fonts, keyboard shortcuts, theming, dictionaries, so on. This is the about page for whatever you're reading. This is for themes, which we haven't created any, so we're not going to worry about that. And then finally, we have a printer at the bottom if you would like to print that out. So here is searching for references. This is for searching for text inside the book. And down in the bottom here, this is for searching your table of contents. Now, the one obvious thing you notice about this page is there is no way to get out of it. And so what you actually have to do is you right click and then you press quit. And so it doesn't quit the program or Calibre, it just quits the book. It will take you back to the book. Now let's move to the top and take a look at these different features. So if you go to add books and click on the down arrow, you can see you can add books from a directory or different subdirectories, add multiple books from archives, so on. So let's try one of these. So let's add books from a single directory. And so here you can see it says nobody, and our directories we added are not there. If we go to computer, double click on that, and there you can see our existing and our library. And so right now our Calibre library only has the PDF that came with it in it. If we go back to existing, you can see here are some of the books in my existing folder. So we're just going to highlight these ones, and then we're going to click open. And there you can see it is adding the books. So that's how you add books. So next is edit metadata. So again, we take a look down here, and you can do it individually, in bulk, copy, and merge. And so we're just going to click on download metadata and covers and see what happens. And so we're going to click on download both. You can see down here on the bottom it says metadata download complete. And so now we have to pick what we're going to do. And we're going to pick yes, and then that will automatically pick metadata for things that it knows. But you can see some of these have their covers. Actually, all of these have their covers, which is very good. Some of these are just PDFs, or well, actually they're all PDFs. Some of these are just papers, I should say. And so for that, it makes up a cover for it if there isn't one. And so here you can see it just did the title. So next up is convert books, and what this does is convert books to different formats. And again, you have two choices. You can do convert individually or bulk. We'll just do bulk. And so here what you're going to do is pick out which format you want. So if you look here in the top right corner, it says output format. And depending on your device, you pick which one that you want. So we're going to switch it to EPUB, and then we're going to click OK. And then you can see down here in the bottom right again, it is doing that right now. So you have to wait a few minutes. Next is view. If we click on view, it has the view the book like we've seen already. View a specific format. So if you click on that, you can see your EPUB books, your PDFs, or your MOBI files, whatever you decide to do. View it with the ebook reader, read a random book, and there it has the quick start guide because we've opened that up. Next is get books. You can again see the different things you can search by. We're going to click search for ebooks. Click OK. And so now what this does is search online sources for books. And so first we're going to search for free books. So we're going to click select none. And there are a few free ebook projects. So one is Project Gutenberg, which we're going to use. The other one is one called Many Books. And actually we'll just put those both in. Those are the English ones. There, I'm sure, are in other languages. Most of these are actually for other language formats. So we're just going to type in Franklin. And we're going to search. We found lots of things about Benjamin Franklin. And so we're just going to click on one. And so we already know Project Gutenberg is free and DRM free, so we're just going to click on that and pick our format, and we'll keep it in EPUB, and then click OK and OK again, and then we're going to close that. And here you can see that Benjamin Franklin has been downloaded. So if we go back to get books and OK, so next if we want to find a Kindle book, for example, we'll press on Amazon UK Kindle and type in Captain Underpants and then click search. And here you can see there's a number of books that show up, and they all have the red lock next to them, which means they have a DRM. And let's see what happens when we try to download one. So we'll double click that, and you can see nothing happens. When we right click on it and we click go to store, again nothing happens. And so for this, what we need to do is actually add in a web browser, so then we can actually go to the store. So we're going to close that. So we're going to go back to Openmediavault, scroll down to Shell in the box, click on Web Clients, and we're going to log in as root. Put in our password. So we're going to type in docker space exec space -it space Calibre, which is the name of our container. If you called your container something else, you have to put that name there. Space /bin/bash and hit enter. So now we're inside of the container. First we're going to type in apt-get update, hit enter. Next, we're going to type in apt-get install Firefox. Hit yes. So that takes quite a while to download and update, but once it's done, click exit and exit. And then you can close that window. We're going to go back to MediaVault and click on Docker. And we're going to click on our Calibre Docker there. We're going to hit the down arrow and we're going to hit restart. And then that will flash in a few seconds. And once it's done that, you can see it has a connection error. You can hit reconnect and nothing will happen. And so what we're going to do is refresh the page. We'll go back to the login screen, click OK. And now we're going to click on Get Books. And we're going to type in Captain Underpants again. And search. And now when we go to it, we click Go to Store, and then we can buy a book as normal and go from there. So next on here is the heart, and so if we click on that, it now opens our web browser and it gives us a way to support Calibre. We're going to close that. So next on here is Fetch News, and so we're going to add a custom news source. We're going to click on that. And we're going to go to English Canadian. We'll click on the CBC. So we just want the Sunday paper, so we'll uncheck all these and just the Sunday one. Then what we would do is click Save. So what we're going to do is download a paper right now, and I know it's big, so this will take a few minutes to download, so we'll speed that up. So when it downloads, the job will show up in this bottom corner. So we'll hit download, and there it is. And this one will take a few minutes because it's a big one. Once that's done, it will show up right here, and you can see over here to the right, it made up a cover for it. And then it actually has information about the different stories that are in this newspaper. Once we download it, we can double click it, or we can right click and click on View and view it through the View tab. Next over here is the Help button, which again, since we have a web browser now, we can look at the manual. And then to remove books, we can click a selected book and remove it, or remove books from a certain format. So for example, we'll just use the newspaper here and click Remove Book. And OK. And now it's removed that book. And with library, if you click on that, you can switch or add a library, pick a random book, or export your library. And you can do maintenance on your library. And save to disk is basically save your files either in the same format or different formats. Connect Share has a few different things on it. So one is if we want it to access the database externally, we have to start the server. But if we do that, you can see it has a fail error there. And so if you remember in the beginning, I'm pretty sure that I said that the database was on 8081. So what we need to do is change that in Preferences. So we're going to go to Preferences, click on Sharing over the Net, and change this from 8080 to 8081, and click Apply, and OK. You can close that. And now when we start Content Server, starts without an error. And so what we can do over here is just copy our IP address again. Paste that here, and we're going to backspace, go 8081 and hit Enter. And now we can browse our Calibre library from any device, and there you can see it is. And if we click on one, you can see we can either download or read. The read function doesn't really work, so I'll give you an example of that. And so basically nothing shows up when you use it. And then library, and that's how we got there. And close this tab. We're going to go back to Connect and Share. We're going to set up email-based sharing. And so if you remember in the beginning that it gave us that option where we can do it again right here. So basically, if you have an email-based server or email server already, you can put that information here. Or optionally, you can set up a new email address or use your current email address. Once you do that, then you would test your email. And how you would do that is add your email address here, make defaults, and then test. So Calibre is a very useful program to collect books and organize your books and to share your books. Just takes a little setup, but otherwise it's very fun. And so that's it for today. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell button to be notified of new videos when they come out. And if you like this video, make sure you like it. And a special thanks to all my patrons. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.